right, welcome back. So I'm reading Situational Awareness by Leopold Aschenbrenner, former employee of OpenAI, and he's giving an overview of what the next 10 years might look like given the pace of a multifaceted factor AI development. There are some bottlenecks that might occur over the next few years, but there are multiple areas where if there's an advancement in one area and no advancement and in fact a bit of a backtracking in another area, the overall progress will be a lot higher. So by the time it comes to 2027, ChatGPT as we know it today will be operating 2 orders of magnitude more advanced than it is now, which will change the world. Everything will be different. We basically won't be using it the same way as we are now. And then there's a point where right now it operates at the level of a sophisticated high school student, AP high school student that does well on exams. But at some point it will be able to operate at the level of a career PhD scientific researcher, and it will be able to solve unsolved problems, and will live in a world where so much is changed because the extent of what we can do is so much more possible because we're no longer stumbling around in the dark. It might be like the invention of fire, to be honest. I mean, imagine a technology that makes you do the exact right, perfect thing you should do every time. Like, that would be like inventing fire. It would change the world that much, probably. All right, so where we left off was the threat model. There are 2 key assets we must protect: model weights, especially as we get close to AGI, but which takes years of preparation and practice to get right, and algorithmic secrets starting yesterday. Model weights. An AI model is just a large file of numbers on a server. This can be stolen. All it takes an adversary to match your trillions of dollars and your smartest minds and your decades of work is to steal this file. Imagine if the Nazis had gotten an exact duplicate of every atomic bomb made in Los Alamos, and it was delivered to them. It'd be that easy. If we can't keep model weights secure, we're just building AGI for the CCP, and given the current trajectory of AI lab security, even North Korea. Even besides national competition, securing model weights is critical for preventing AI catastrophes as well. All of our hand-wringing and protective measures are for naught if a bad actor, say a terrorist or rogue state, can just steal the model and do whatever they want with it, circumventing any safety layers. Whichever novel weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, superintelligence could invent would rapidly proliferate to dozens of rogue states. Moreover, security is the first line of defense against uncontrolled or misaligned AI systems. 2. How stupid would we feel if we failed to contain the rogue superintelligence because we didn't build and test it in an air-gapped cluster first? Securing model weights doesn't matter that much right now. Stealing GPT-4 without the underlying recipe doesn't do that much for the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. But it will really matter in a few years, once we have AGI systems that are genuinely incredibly powerful. Perhaps the single scenario that most keeps me up at night is if China or another adversary is able to steal the automated AI researcher model weights on the cusp of an intelligence explosion. China could immediately use these to automate AI research themselves, even if they had previously been way behind, and launch their own intelligence explosion. That'd be all they need to automate AI research and build superintelligence. Any lead the US had would vanish. Moreover, this would immediately put us in an existential rate. Any margin for ensuring superintelligence is safe would disappear. The CCP may well try to race through an intelligence explosion as fast as possible, Even months of lead on superintelligence could mean a decisive military advantage, in the process skipping all the safety precautions and responsible US AGI effort would hope to take. We would also have to race through the intelligence explosion to avoid complete CCP dominance. Even if the US still manages to barely pull out ahead in the end, the loss of margin would mean having to run enormous risks on AI safety. We're miles away for sufficient security to protect weights today. Google DeepMind, perhaps the AI lab that has the best security of any of them, given Google infrastructure, at least straight up admits this. Their frontier safety framework outlines security levels 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Around 1.5 being what you need to defend against well-resourced terrorist groups or cyber criminals. 3 being what you'd need to defend against the North Koreas of the world, and 4 being what you'd need to have even a shot of defending against priority efforts by the most capable state actors. So based off of their claimed correspondence of their security levels to RAND's weight security port L1 through L5, they admit to being at level 0. Oof, that's bad. Only the most banal and basic measures. If we got AGI and superintelligence soon, we'd literally deliver it to a terrorist groups and every crazy dictator out there. So if you're watching my channel and you're into cybersecurity, they're at level 0. Let me just say that. No matter who you are out there, if you're learning cybersecurity, they're at level 0. Let me just say that. And maybe they'll crack down on you hard, but they're at level 0. Let me just say that. Wow. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so all right, so here's a deepmind.google.com. Yeah, so I'm just looking at the IP addresses. Now you can find that without going here, but it looks like yeah, so it belongs to Google. So yeah, so like this yeah. So anyways, if you're into cybersecurity, don't get in trouble. That's my final word on that. Please do not get in trouble. All right, so critically, developing the infrastructure for weight security probably takes many years of lead times. If we think AGI in around 3 to 5 years is a real possibility, and we need state-proof weight security, then we need to be launching the crash effort now. Securing weights will require innovations in hardware and radically different cluster design, and security at this level can't be reached overnight, but requires cycles of iteration. If we fail to prepare in time, our situation will be dire. We will be on the cusp of superintelligence, but years away from the security necessary. Our choice will be to press ahead, but directly deliver superintelligence to the Chinese Communist Party with the existential race through the intelligence explosion that implies, or wait until the security crash program is complete, risking losing our lead. So yeah, that's a point that the author made is being first to the superintelligence has a lot of advantages. So that's a reason for security right there. Algorithmic secrets. While people are starting to appreciate, though not necessarily implement, the need for weight security, arguably even more important right now and vastly underrated, is securing algorithmic secrets. One way to think about this is that stealing the algorithmic secrets will be worth having a 10x or more larger cluster to the PRC. As discussed in counting the OOMs, algorithmic progress is probably similarly as important as scaling up compute to AI progress. Given the baseline trend of around 0.5 OOMs of compute efficiency a year, plus additional algorithmic unhobbling gains on top, we should expect multiple OOMs, orders of magnitude, worth of algorithmic secrets between now and artificial general intelligence, AGI. By default, I expect American labs to be years ahead. If they can defend their secrets, this would easily be worth 10 times to 100 times compute. Note that we're willing to incur American investors hundreds of billions of dollars of costs by export controlling NVIDIA chips, perhaps a 3 times increase in compute cost for Chinese labs, but we're leaking 3 times algorithmic secrets all over the place. So it's a good time to get into cybersecurity as well, because this will probably, hopefully, if assuming that the United States is going to be a leader in this, at some point they're going to have to get their act together. So if you're in cybersecurity, you're probably positioned pretty well. Data center, cybersecurity, data center. Maybe even more importantly, we may be developing the key paradigm breakthroughs for AGI right now. As discussed previously, simply scaling up current models will hit a wall, the data wall. Even with way more compute, it won't be possible to make a better model. The frontier AI labs are furiously at work at what comes next, from reinforcement learning to synthetic data. They will probably figure out some crazy stuff, essentially the AlphaGo self-play equivalent for general intelligence. Their inventions will be as key as the invention of the LLM paradigm, large language model paradigm, originally was a number of years ago. And they will be the key to building systems that go far beyond human level. We still have an opportunity to deny China these key algorithmic breakthroughs, without which they'd be stuck at the data wall. But without better security in the next 10 through 24 months, we may well irreversibly supply China with these key AGI breakthroughs. All right, so I'm going to get through this page and then I'll be done. It's easy to underrate how important an edge algorithmic secrets will be, because up until around couple of years ago, everything was published. The basic idea was out there: scale up transformers on internet text. Many algorithmic details and efficiencies were out there. Chinchilla scaling law, MOE, etc. I'm not sure what MOE is. Thus, open source models today are pretty good, and a bunch of companies have pretty good models, mostly depending on how much money they raised and how big their clusters are. But this will likely change fairly dramatically in the next couple years. Basically, all of the frontier algorithmic progress happens at labs these days. Academia is surprisingly irrelevant. That is surprising. And the leading labs have stopped publishing their advances. We should expect far more divergence ahead between labs, between countries, and between the proprietary frontier and open source models. A few American labs will be way ahead, a moat worth 10x, 100x, or way more than, say, 7 nanometer versus 3 nanometer chips, unless they instantaneously leak the algorithmic secrets. Sometimes I joke that AI lab algorithmic advances are not shared with the American research community, but they are being shared with the Chinese research community. Simply put, I think failing to protect algorithmic secrets is probably the most likely way in which China is able to stay competitive in the AGI race. I discuss this more later. It's hard to overstate how bad algorithmic secrets security is right now. Between the labs, there are thousands of people with access to the most important secrets. There is basically no background checking, siloing, controls, basic infosec, etc. Things are stored on easily hackable SaaS services. People gabber at parties in San Francisco. Anyone with all the secrets in their head could be offered 100 million and recruited at a Chinese lab at any point. Indeed, I've heard from friends that ByteDance emailed basically every person who was on the Google Gemini paper to recruit them, offering them L8, a very senior position with presumably similarly high pay, and pitching them by saying they'd report directly to the CTO in America of ByteDance. You can just look through Office Windows and so on. There are many articles and rumors flying around San Francisco purporting to have extensive details of various lab algorithmic advances. That's crazy. So you can work for a Chinese company with an American CTO in America. All right, so that's all I can do tonight. It's getting late, so thanks for watching and see you in the next one.